All right, everyone. It's Renee Barabo again, the Practical Shaman. And Karen's never been with us before on the I Am Symposium, but I've been watching her over at the Shaman's Cave, and she exemplifies what I believe is community, and that's people who give first and then invite back. And I think that that's the sign of somebody who's healed and somebody who's done their work. And I happen to know that she's one of Sandra Ingerman's teachers and has been walking that path for a long time. And she comes to us from Kingman, Arizona, and she's going to explore what it means to be in the movement into a new paradigm of oneness. And I'm sure she's going to invite us to become, and some ideas around how to grow with the moment of spirit in our lives. Or is that move or to grow? And she has a traditional religious background also as well. So that makes her extra knowledgeable in my world, because when I used to go to meet with the Pacos in Peru, they would always, one of the reasons when the conquistadors came in, from what I've been told, is that in their world, they were bringing more God, more religion, not religion, more God, more spirit. And so if you look at the temples in Peru and stuff, you see when they were asked to paint the temple ceilings, they had cocoa chewing Pacos, and and the conquistadors were none the wiser for the fact that they put all of their own symbols in with the Catholicism that was being forced upon them. And so, in my book, Winds of Spirit, it's all about knowing that wind was here first. Wind started at the beginning of creation, and then it informed culture throughout the globe as to the information it needed. And for me, that means that we've just all appropriated from the wind since the get-go, including all of the religions and all of the other people. But the winds are way more generous than most of us human beings, and they come back to us at times of great transformation, great winds of change. And here we are again at a momentous time in history where the winds are going to be blowing strong. And I'm very excited to have learned yesterday from Louise Eddington that we are moving into the time of the air. And so these winds, although they came to me, 10 years ago ish, they're coming to you now. So this would be like a really good time to be ahead of your gang and get this book and put it on your shelf. This is a keeper. All right, Karen, so you could take it away, and I'm going to go mute and go quiet and listen to what you have to share.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm so honored to be here. As Renee said, this is the first time I've presented in this forum, but I've been around for quite a while. And I just want to share before I get into what I would like to say, and just share that I have really felt the energy of this group. I mean, it's just amazing. Every time I go on Facebook and see the altars that people are creating, and the love and attention that's been put into these altars, and I just know that we're doing the work, and we're doing it brilliantly. So thank you for your commitment to moving into a new way of living. And thank you, Renee, for gathering us together for these few days. I just want to open with a brief prayer. So I just invite you to place your hand over your heart. And just calmly feel the warmth of the fire within your heart. In your mind's eye, see the burning flame there, that brilliant light. And as you see that light, expand that light out so that it completely fills your physical, etheric, and astral form. Notice its brightness. And also move it out even beyond your astral form, into the room around you, or wherever you are, into the space around you. And notice as you intend to move that light from your heart into the space around you, how it moves even without your needing to encourage it. That it's naturally radiant into the entire world. That is your light. That is the light of the Creator, the light of Source, dwelling within you. And when you allow it, when you intend it, it will move out into the world. And things change, as we're seeing all around us. So I just really want to pray and honor and remember our helping spirits, those beings who have been guiding us all our lives, maybe for most of our lives, and remembering and honoring all of the elements. Different traditions recognize different numbers of elements. Whatever the tradition you're in, just remember all of the elements. Remembering the land that we live on. All of the beings, the plant beings, the animal beings, the stone beings, the created beings, our homes. Honoring the spirits of those. Honoring this community, this gathering of beautiful people, creative and energized by the spirit within and the work that they do. Special honors to St. Clare of Assisi, who is the patron saint of broadcasting. And honoring the sacred space within us all. I don't call in the helping spirits, the elements, the circle. They're already there. We have never left the circle of creation, the circle of life, the circle of those who walk with us all these years, guiding us, nurturing us, receiving guidance and nurturing from us. Honoring all the tools that we use in the work that we do. Our drums, our rattles, our feathers, our regalia. And honoring the source that is within all things. That beautiful energy. Amen. I was hoping we could be interactive with this, and my apologies, but I cannot connect to YouTube right now, and so I don't have access to any kind of a chat. I was thinking, well, if you have a question, you could just put it in the chat in the YouTube channel, and I could see that and I could respond to it. But I'm just going to talk, and if it gets boring, just find something else to do. But if it's engaging, really take it to heart. But listen not just with your ears, but listen with that light within that you got in touch with. Listen with that heart light, that heart ear, and that spirit ear. Because what I want to talk about a little bit is something that is new on our horizon. And it's challenging. We are in the process of a major initiation as a species and as a planet, and as individuals within that collective. We are in a process of change. And what I always have said for several years, we're moving into a new paradigm. And sometimes I'll say that and I'll get a look like, what? What's wrong with the old one? Yeah. And we can articulate a lot of things, what's wrong with the old one, but we're moving. And that's the important thing. But what is a paradigm shift? Imagine that you live in a world where, and us older folks will relate to this very easily. We live in a world where lines work, and we stand in line at the grocery store. We go from point A to point B. Time works. We get up in the morning, we go to bed in the evening. For those who are on that schedule, for those who work at night, we get up at night, we go to bed. But it's a linear concept. Everything in our world is linear for us older people. And the paradigm that we're moving into is a non-linear paradigm. I grew up believing that there is a beginning to the universe and an end to the universe. If we traveled forever, eventually we would get to the other end of the universe. I grew up with the notion that humans are the only ones that know how to think. We're the only ones that can add 2 and 2. We're the only ones that can look at a map and say, this is where I want to go and get there. Those are the two concepts that are shattered with our current sciences. What we know now, is that all life, everything created, is sentient. We know now that trees have feelings, that they communicate with one another, that they take on roles in the forest. I did a house clearing once for a family who had this absolutely beautiful oak kitchen cupboard. It took up the whole wall. And the energy in that cupboard told the story of how it was cut down. But it was the guardian of that whole region. It was, the guardian is an English word, but the oak was watched over all of the region. Its nuts fed the squirrels, birds nested in its trees, and all of a sudden one day it was cut down. And it caused a lot of turmoil, not only in that wood, but in the forest that was now bereft of its guardian tree. All life is sentient. Sandra Ingerman once did a transfiguration ceremony. And in the ceremony, she had someone in Scotland that had a plant, and they monitored this plant. And during the transfiguration ceremony, there was a picture of the plant in the center of the room. And after the transfiguration ceremony, the person that was monitoring the plant recorded significant differences, shifts in that plant. So we know now that all life is sentient. Another concept that is new for us is that the universe is limitless. There is no beginning point and no end point in the universe. It's limitless. By definition, we are limitless. We are without limit. We are eternal beings. In the old paradigm way of thinking, that's hard to put together, right? Just think about that for a minute. We are limitless beings. If we're thinking in the old paradigm, we're not going to be able to figure this out. We're not going to be able to understand what that really, really means. We can intellectually think about it, but that's like intellectually saying we know what it is to measure time in millions of years. We have no clue. We don't know. Our history is what, 10,000 years old, if that? So just these two things completely changed everything we know about who we are and the world we live in. So the concept of paradigm shift is we're moving into a new paradigm. And there's a lot of rhetoric out there about how we're moving into this new paradigm that started maybe 40, 50 years ago. What prompted it, I believe, what prompted it was right around 1970, we as a species saw the Earth for the first time in its entirety. That's when that image of the Earth was photographed from space. Remember that? It's this beautiful blue marble sitting in the middle of this immense universe. That changed us at the cellular level. And so people that were born before that time, we're very linear. And those of us who are older, we've had to learn how to move beyond linear thinking in time into really the core of shamanism, which is, where we are right now. People born after 1970 don't have that problem as much because they were born into a world, they were born into a reality that included an image of that Earth, image of our home in its entirety. Some of the saints, St. Francis, intuited that, and he was always wanting to go to the top of the mountains so he could see, the Earth, see more of the land, But that's where we are right now, is we're in this shift. Well, what does that require of us? I'm with a group and we're working with the descendants in a deeper way, and they're teaching us how to allow ourselves to be transformed so that we can handle the energies of this new paradigm. If you're doing spiritual work, you may have experienced this. If you're doing some spiritual work or gone to a workshop that's kind of stretched you into thinking of something new, pulled you from your place of complacency, spiritual complacency, into the unknown, and how that physically that impacts us. Sometimes we'll come home from workshops or from spiritual work that was really brilliant, and then we get a cold or we get sick or we get fatigued. That's because our bodies are used to a certain vibrational quality, right? Those of you who work with vibration, I think you know what I'm talking about here. As we move into this new paradigm, and as we enter into the spiritual aspect of that movement, it's going to affect us physically because we're learning how to handle, we're learning how to hold, at the cellular level, we're learning how to hold a new vibration, a higher vibration, a higher frequency. And when you work with those of you who work with the descendants, ask them about that. Ask them to teach you how to hold that higher vibration, because they're in a whole different worldview than we are. Which is another term, worldview. What does that mean? What is our worldview? We have a Western worldview, there's an Asian worldview, but what does worldview mean? Worldview, there's some core aspects to that. And I'll give an example. Back in Copernicus' day, it was believed that human beings and Earth was the center of the universe. And that came from the book of Genesis. It seemed that the culmination of evolution was the human, right? And we are the center of the universe. Now just think about that for a minute. We're the center of the universe, and that's our worldview. Everything revolves around us, right? Everything is at our disposal. The whole planet is there for our taking and our using and enjoying or exploiting, whatever. That's a worldview. Then here comes a scientist who says, wait a minute, we're not the center of the universe. Do you know that we revolve around the sun? The sun is the center of the universe, not us. Can you imagine the spiritual chaos that created in that time? Because we're no longer it. Well, we're in a place right now where I believe the shift is even more significant than in that day. That what we're realizing is that not only are we the center of the universe, the whole universe is its own center. That we have the universe, the entire universe within us. In every cell of our body, we have the capacity for the entire universe. We are limitless beings, confined in bodies in ordinary reality. And that's changing everything. It's changing how we relate to one another. It's changing how we relate to the environment. It's changing how we relate to our inner world. And it's even changing how we relate to the practices that we're in. I'll give you an example. In old paradigm shamanism, there are three worlds: the upper world, the middle world, the lower world. In new paradigm shamanism, what we're going to come to understand is that there's no separation. It's all one. There may be aspects, but it's all one. There's no past, there's no present, there's no upper, lower, middle. It's all one. That's a new paradigm concept that we will evolve into. But in order to do that, we have to be able to hold that energy. We have to be able to hold that vibrational quality. And so I would invite you in your practice to start looking, or if you've already started, but continue to look at how we need to change, how we must change in order to be able to hold the energy, be able to move into this new paradigm that we are moving into. The descendants call this the time of the great decision, because they know that their ancestors went through a tremendous shift that was very, very hard and very, very difficult. And it really demanded a whole transformation of how we think and how we live and how we, communicate and connect. They knew it, and this was the time in which this was all happening. So they look back at their ancestors, us, with incredible respect and honor, because we made the decision. And I really believe that part of the reason that collectively we made the decision is because you and I are here in this moment. We are that light in the world, in a world that so many believe is burnt out. Well, it's not. We are that light. We felt it. We are that light. And when we can own that and allow ourselves to own that, nothing is impossible. When you think of the word power, that's the power, is that light within, that light of source. And we are source, and we participate in source. We participate in that creative impetus that moves us into or through the times, that move us into new ways of being and thinking. It doesn't matter what religion we are. It doesn't matter what we call that source. It doesn't matter if somebody wants to call themselves a shaman or a teacher or uh, a healer or an athlete, whatever it happens to be, it doesn't matter. That's not the big issue right now. The big issue is we are light. And we're called to be light in a time that is just pregnant with possibility. It's no mistake that we're here. The theory out there that we chose to come at this time, or we got together with a team and said this is what we're going to do, and we come in to do it. There's so many different theories about why we're here. But look around us. We are incredibly gifted right now, because there are so many people that don't have the opportunity to connect the way we have connected. They don't have the awareness that there are helpers in the unseen world that are there to help us move through this time and to help us be empowered to reach out and help others and be empowered to receive help from others. I cannot imagine being in the world today without the sense that shamanism has afforded, without the sense that my Christ path has afforded, which to me is one and the same. I cannot imagine trying to do this, trying to be in the world today without that extended awareness. And we have it. We have it. All of us who are listening to this session, whether you're live right now or will hear it later on, all of us, we have a clue. And that's the beauty of it. We have a clue. We can decide to move just beyond the constraints of our limitations, our perceived limitations, and extend that awareness, just as we extended that light within us, right? We set the intention, move that light out. And once we started to do that, it moves effortlessly. We just radiate. But that's our spiritual path. That's the path of shamanism. And that's the movement, not in the sense of organization, but the movement, the flow that the descendants look back on at this time and say, brava, well done, keep it up. And they're coming back and helping us to do that. What does the new paradigm look like? Okay, what does the new paradigm look like? Just think about that for a minute. Some of us have done journeys to the descendants or to the future and have seen, what the possibilities are, but what does that really require of us right now? A major way of helping that movement is the way we frame reality of what's happening in the world today. I was in a conversation not too long ago with someone who was really quite upset with a figure that's very prominent, and could not imagine how anybody could be that way, right? And I thought about that, and I thought, looking at the theory of, okay, before we come into the world, we get together with our team and decide, okay, how are we going to do this? Who's going to play what roles? And all of these bright, brilliant spirits are coming together to see how we're going to impact the world in a positive way. And the spirit comes in and says, I need a volunteer. I need someone, and looking at these brilliant, radiant beings, right? I need someone to incarnate in this time and really stir things up. I need someone who will take on the role of the most hated being on the planet. We need to trigger a response so that we can see the movement that we need to move into. Do I have a volunteer? And the brightest spirit in the room says, yes, I'll go. I'll do that. I will be that trigger. I will be that. And so life goes on. We start getting incarnated, and boom, there's this being out there that nobody wants, that nobody likes, and is hated and vile and just miserable being. And that is that spirit who volunteered to take that on so that we could see, as Sandra Ingerman said back in several years ago, the shadow is now revealed. Now we can begin to heal. That's what I mean by reframing. If we can look at the greater picture, if we can look at the bigger picture, that helps us move into this new paradigm. That helps us shift our vibrational energy. It allows our egos to become what they were initially intended to be. Not the ruling thing in our lives, right? But the things that basically keeps us from bumping into each other. Yeah. It allows us to hone that compassion and love within us. It allows us to experience our own capacity, not only to heal, but to be healer, to help others heal. It allows for love to become a pronounced and I want to say almost tangible reality in our world. We talk about, well, we need to have love, we need to be unconditional compassion, blah, blah, blah. But if we don't have the experience of what is that really, then I think we limit the possibility of that. We limit the power of that. So reframing what's going on, moving from an old paradigm notion of duality, right and wrong, black, white, I'm, you're, moving beyond that and recognizing the oneness that we are. I think that'll go a long way into helping us, helping our bodies, helping our physical forms adjust to this new frequency that we're asked to move into. I've seen it said so many different ways, but we cannot move into the new if we're moving into the new based on what we think of in the old, right? Variations of that. We can't create something new if the only tools we're working with are tools that created stuff in the old paradigm. And so allowing our helping spirits, allowing our inner selves to learn a new way of being, I think is vital to our movement, to our flow. I was going to say something else, but in allowing us to move into this paradigm, into this shift that we're in. And we can do it. I'm seeing it exponentially. Maybe I'm, but I see it. I'm seeing it. Look around you sometimes. Look at this group. We're making it. We're making it. So it's happening. I'm a little distracted. No, I'm good. I just got the tone. I just got the connection for the for the YouTube thing, but I'm not going to turn it on. If you have a question or if you want to continue talking about anything I've mentioned, please let me know. Karen@spiritdrum.org. Please stay in touch and keep the conversation going, because it is in sharing with one another, as we've experienced in this whole few days. It's in sharing with one another that we really move, we really flow, and we stay connected. one of the concepts of oneness is it's hard to align with that reality of oneness if we're feeling separate, if we're feeling alone. And there are so many of us who our practices are in areas where there's not a lot of other support. There's not a lot of other people that we can talk to in the language that we know and have them understand, or being able to engage in a conversation with somebody and understand at that level what they're talking about. It's hard for shamanic practitioners to talk shamanism to somebody that doesn't have a clue what shamanism is. Or if you work with, I don't know, frequencies or sound or vibrational healing, it's hard to have a conversation with people if they don't understand the concepts of frequency and vibrational energy. So stay connected. Just to encourage you to stay connected with groups that help you in your practice, in your path, in your spiritual path. Don't be afraid of the exploration. I come from a Christ path, and I am a priest in the inclusive Catholic Church. And when I first began shamanism, I was terrified because I felt like God, Source, was drawing me into this path. And the path that I was coming from was a path that said, don't stray, right? If you go over here or over there, you're going to hell in a handbasket for all of eternity. That's a huge threat. And so I was really kind of nervous about that. But I've come to understand that it's all one path. It's all one path. There is no reason to be fearful about exploration. If we're truly yearning, truly wanting to know who we truly are in relationship to Source, however you understand that to be, higher consciousness, whatever you want. If we're truly on that path, there's nothing we can do, think, explore, read, whatever, that can pull us off of that. And so whatever tradition you come from, if you feel called to explore deeper, don't be afraid of that. Just jump right in. Don't be afraid of that. And it'll be amazing what doors open, what avenues open for you to learn more, and not just by reading or going to workshops, but to really learn more, to absorb the all, to absorb that wisdom that's there for us. That's what's going to help us move into this new paradigm. We can't do it if we limit ourselves, because we are limitless beings. It's impossible to move forward if we keep the brakes on, right? Take your foot off the brake. Zoom into whatever it is that you're exploring and feeling drawn to explore. Renee is very immersed in wind energy. If wind is your thing, jump in. Invite the hurricane, metaphorically, but invite that experience. If fire is an element that you're immersed in, jump into the fire, metaphorically. To the extent that we allow ourselves to be consumed by that adventure of spirit, adventure of magnificent exploration, to the extent that we allow that, that's the extent that we're going to be able to move into this new paradigm. Because it's the limited stuff, it's our own limitations that keep us stuck, right? I mean, we know that in our own lives. I can certainly identify, but when we allow ourselves to move beyond that limitation, that's when things start to happen. That's when it gets exciting. That's when the spiritual path really gets exciting. But don't be afraid. There's no room for fear. Fear is probably one of the heaviest energies that we can surround ourselves with. Fear will grab you by the ankle and keep you stuck where you don't want to be stuck. And fear has a way of, not only does it hold you down, it encourages you to want to be held down. So if in your exploration, how do I move into the new paradigm, for instance, if there's any sense of hesitation, any sense of fear or trepidation, seek out some help to help remove that, so that you can freely and energetically move into the flow. I don't know how else to describe that. And if you can relate to that, God bless you. You know, if you can't, watch out. Because, one thing about the spiritual path and this movement is we have to be stripped. We have to be dismembered. Sandra Ingerman talks a lot about that. We have to allow ourselves to be dismembered so that we can move into this new paradigm, so that we can move into that deeper awareness of who we are as spiritual beings, as brilliant, radiant beings. If you've ever been in a transfiguration group, you know that experience of just radiating and how powerful that light that comes from within, how powerful that light is. But it's a way that we're called in this time. All of us. Nobody better, nobody worse. We're all in. We are radiating that same love, compassion force in the universe. There's no better person out there doing it. There's no lesser person out there doing it. As long as we're open to spirit, as long as we're open to our desire to be of help to the universe, no matter what we're doing, we are doing magnificent work. And we are contributing in powerful ways to the transformation of all that is. I really believe, somebody said a couple of years ago on Facebook, that all of the planets, we talk about climate change on our planet, and they said scientifically all of the planets are warming up, in measurable amounts, that all of the planets seem to be warming up. I wonder if that's a universal reality, that the consciousness of the universe is in a place where it's also in transformation. In the concept of oneness, I can't believe that Earth is the only one growing, right? That humans are the only ones evolving. The whole universe is. And we're moving into a way of being, of relating, of understanding that we've never experienced that before. And there's a lot of talk about how well the ancestors were connected. The ancestors, yes, but they didn't have the awareness of what we have today. And so this time is different, as will be the next time, right? But this time is different. And I think that there's so much to be learned from our ancestors, not only human ancestors, excuse me. Hold on a second. There we go. Not only our human ancestors, but our ancestry goes beyond just human, right? And what time was I a plant? Hold on a second. I apologize. Ever since I've had COVID, I get this cough. But, our ancestor is far beyond just human. Think about that for a minute. Here we go. Think about that for a minute. Meher Baba was an avatar, and he talked about consciousness evolving through the species. Think about, get in touch with when were you a tree? When were you possibly a dolphin? Another species. As you evolve, what will our next life be? Where are we heading? Our spirits are eternal. We didn't have a beginning or an end. So just think about it. Where in the evolution have we been? I would think that we've probably been many places and many things. Can we get in touch with, when we talk about getting in touch with our ancestors, can we get in touch with our ancestry that's beyond human or before human? When was I water? When was I fire? In shamanism, everything has spirit. Think about that for a minute. Just imagine what it must have been like to be grass on a hillside. What was my consciousness like? When I was stone eroding from the Rockies down to the ocean, what wisdom did I pick up along the way? Was I ever a deer in the forest? What did I learn? And what part of that wisdom did I carry into my evolution as a human? How do I connect with that? How do I recognize that? When I look into the eyes of, a possum, am I seeing an ancestor? When I think about evolving species that will come into being, can I imagine being that? We are limitless. We have no beginning and no end. We just change our appearance. I don't know about you, but it doesn't get better than that. And the way we can connect with all of life, when we contemplate where we have been and where we're going, that we are all of life. I don't know, it just doesn't get better than that. We're not the end all of creation. And that's what we need to remember, that we share that oneness with all of life. In the Christ path, it's understood that all of creation awaits the coming of sacredness. Even Jesus said one time, if you don't proclaim the sacred, the very stones will do that. How do we relate to that? And allow that awareness and that wisdom to transform us. and to recreate us at the cellular level and at the spiritual level so we can move into this new paradigm that we are moving into anyway. Whether we like it or not, we are changing. So I really, I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity to just chat with you and share with you. I so wish we could have gotten into a conversation, but the conversation is there. Have it with your colleagues, your friends, online. Keep the conversation going. And the openness to change and the openness to be transformed. And the openness to allow our physical forms to grow into being able to hold that higher vibrational energy, that higher frequency, so that we truly can be what we're called to be in the world today. And that is light and love and compassion and understanding. I only have a few more moments. I'd like to just do a blessing. Creator God, source of all being, lover of all, open all of our hearts. Create within us a new palette, a new basket to hold all that we can. Create each of us, within each of us, that space of wonder and curiosity. That place of joy in life and living. Help us transform and be transformative in the world today. Bless each and every person who is watching this and being in the symposium these few days. Let us each let us each see that sacredness within, that beauty that we are. And then I would ask you to just add your own prayer. Amen. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening. And for those of you who are seeing this later on, you're right here with us all anyway. So blessings and blessings. And thank you, Renee, for this time. Blessings.
Thank you. And that was really compelling with a lot to think about. So I've suggested people listen to it. So have a good evening.